Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Wellness Gala free online series, Take Care of Yourself. My name is Lee Grabarczyk of soulfulmandalas.com. I'm an intuitive channel who creates sacred geometry to enhance awareness. So before the previous episodes, we've covered coping mechanisms, personality development, emotional balance, finding your purpose, creating healthy boundaries, and tonight, just to wrap that up, is intimacy. Intimacy is hard work. Into me see. And unfortunately, that phrase has reduced into a cliche. But when we're looking at ourselves, we look in the mirror and see ourselves and say, who am I? When we investigate what it is that drives us, when we investigate what it is that makes us happy, what's fulfilling, what makes us feel good about ourselves, not just in some shorter term, but in some long term. That part of intimacy comes up, that part of looking in. And when I see myself, how it is that I feel about myself, what it is that's going on with me, is something that I may or not be in touch with. But when I'm with another person, a lot of times with intimacy, we go in, have you been intimate? It's very sexualized. Have you been connecting, intimately? But intimacy may or not happen in sexuality. Sexuality or sexual, connections can be non-intimate. They can be physically intimate, but they can be emotionally distant. And in some cases, they actually can push people away. Connections of intimacy can be terrifying. I would assert that everyone is afraid of intimacy. Intimacy is defenselessness. Here I am, as is. And in doing that, in connecting with that, I risk being hurt, abandoned, betrayed. In all of those connections, all of those things that go into those kinds of thought processes when I'm relating to another person and myself intimately, actually with other people, often draw from my experience growing up. And really, how secure am I in my own self-esteem or not? Am I secure or insecure? And security can be seen in many different ways. It could be seen as an anxious, preoccupied attachment, or maybe I have an increased need to feel wanted. Maybe I spend a lot of time thinking about relationships. Maybe a tendency to experience jealousy, or maybe I just idolize romantic partners. And then require frequent reassurance from those that I care about. Or maybe it's a dismissive, avoidant kind of attachment, where I have a hard time depending on partners or other people that I'm close to, which makes me prefer to be alone, or feel like those close relationships aren't really worth the trouble. Maybe they're going to interfere with my independence, right? And the other one is fearful avoidant attachment, where I'm having conflicting feelings about relationships and intimacy. Want to develop romantic relationship, but worry that my partner will hurt me or leave me. Push aside my feelings and emotions to avoid experiencing them, for fear that I'm not good enough for the kind of relationship I like to have. And intimacy is really that willingness to share what it is that I'm experiencing in an ongoing basis. It's a willingness to say to somebody, this is what's true for me here. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I want. Without an attachment to an outcome. Just the willingness to do it. When I don't do that, when I fall into these kinds of insecure roles, Now what I've done is I've created a style, a personality, a way of relating to other people, relating to a romantic partner in particular, that has now boxed me in to some kind of caricature. Now I'm not even myself anymore. Now I've become this caricature, this kind of person that's fit into this relationship so that I can, make the relationship work, because maybe I don't feel like I'm worthy of expressing how I feel and what's going on for me. And in the process, I'm going to get angry. I'm going to get angry because every time I see them, they're going to remind me of this, but I'm also going to get angry at myself for the fact that I did this, that I actually signed up for this. And that's how it is that I see relationships. It's this like hard work. This is just a lot of challenge. And I really think that it's very difficult to be intimate in the sense that when I'm expressing what's going on, I'm letting that out. I'm in the process of self-discovery. Maybe I don't even know myself that well. Knowing oneself is a terrifying thing. There's a great movie about this, never-ending story, where the protagonist is just on this quest. And one of the great challenges on their quest is to face themselves, is to see themselves for who they really are, and to love themselves for that, and to be okay with the fact that maybe they have faults. None of us is perfect. All of us is doing our best to just work our way through, discover ourselves, communicate our discoveries authentically, really, with a sense of truth about what it matters, and where it goes, it goes. So our understanding of ourselves and then communicating that to a person, and to do so without defenses, to just open ourselves up to it, and we don't even know necessarily who that person is. And basically, in intimacy, it's with a stranger. When I meet somebody for the first time, they're a stranger. And yet when I get to know them, it's still going to be somewhat of a stranger, yet I'm expressing myself and saying, this is who I am. And the more I do that, the better I feel. Because now my sense of self has expanded in a way where I'm actually am able to just kind of really like get a greater sense of, this is okay. I'm okay. I remember one time when I was with a group and we were doing like experiential training stuff. And I was, part of it is, you're just kind of telling about yourself. And I went through these things, what are you ashamed of, blah, 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 blah. And I was rattling them all off. And the person in the group said, that's all you got? I remember thinking, well, that's really wild. And when I go into that, when I start expressing it and I start getting into it, I start feeling a sense of like, okay, this is all right. I'm doing really well here. And when I'm true, in other kinds of stuff that I've done where I've discovered myself and really kind of experienced myself, and I get into that like realness of it, it feels real. Other things don't seem real. I remember one time I was doing something where I was really getting into it, and I was really getting into my feelings, and I was really discovering a lot about what was going on for me, and what was working and what wasn't working, and what was I afraid of, and what was all of that, mess. And as I'm getting into this, I'm getting more and more like excited, and I'm feeling myself, and I could sense that my joy was just growing because my restriction was no longer like into this kind of defensive bubble. Now I have this broader sense of being willing to engage, just kind of like a child does. They run up to strangers, this feeling of like the world is mine, the sense of that everybody is there for me, but I'm coming at it from a sense of trust. And when I was doing that, the other thing that I was noticing is that the people who were acting on TV, they seemed just so robotic, so devoid of anything that was genuine. There was nothing really real about them. Because when I'm really intimate, when I'm really connecting to myself and my self-expression, those things show. And when I'm relating to other people from a state of intimacy, my willingness to kind of recognize my own self and my own value, right? That part of me that as I'm doing that is going to actually then draw to me healthier people. And this sense of personal discovery is really, as I've said, very hard work. And it gets minimized. People are like, have you found yourself yet? People who are afraid of looking at themselves say things like that. They're afraid to look inside. They make it all about their accomplishments. Things become about achievement. Self-discovery and reflection and really looking at what's going on and how things are moving is replaced by doingness, not beingness. And we lose our balance in the process of that, and then we get attached to a thing, a medal, some kind of like financial reward, or maybe it's some kind of fame or some other kind of position, or maybe it's just because we built up our bodies through whatever. Maybe it's through, maybe we've done things where we've worked out excessively. But all of that is then creating this dynamic that then it puts us in an attachment to an outside thing. So now my value isn't coming from within, where I recognize my good, bad, and everything in between, and I just am okay with it and I communicate that. Otherwise, if I don't do that, then I get attached to something. And when I get attached to something, when I get attached to this kind of like thing, I become a prisoner of it. So I might have a great body and I might really look good. And I might say, oh my goodness, I'm so attractive. I can get anybody. But then I have to constantly look good. Then I have to have cosmetic surgery. Or I have to have some other kinds of procedures, and it's all kind of like downhill, because in this genius of living, we age, which is really brilliant. You gotta love that. And besides which, I remember one woman was telling me, she was very, very, very attractive, just gorgeous. And she said, you know what? It's just the wrapper. It's just the wrapper. She was so matter of fact about it. She didn't want to talk about it. Because she recognized that it was just a thing that she had, and she was lucky to have it, and she took a relatively good care of herself, but that was it, and then she was done. And she didn't have anything really more to be attached to. She was more looking at within. So when I look in the mirror, when I really see myself, can I say from within, this is good, this is what I love? And if I can't, can I make a peace with what it is that I have and say, you know what, I accept this as I am? So that in that intimate awareness and connection, I can now share that with other people. I can do that in a way that really, really honors me. And that process of self-discovery is just an ongoing thing. You know, knowing ourselves is just one of the great kinds of challenges of just being a human being. You know, knowing yourself, understanding how you operate. It's a great, great challenge. And it's so easy to blame other people and look at other people's stuff. But what about my own patterns and consequences? What about my own life? What's going on with that? Am I really addressing those things? Or am I just kind of blaming it on other people? Or am I getting caught up in something that just distracts me from all of my problems so that I don't have to look at them? Because when I accomplish those kinds of self-investigations and then make a peace with it, I feel complete. And I'm no longer dependent on other people. I'm not looking at them to acknowledge me or to say to me, you may or may not be good depending upon, I'm not at the mercy of their perspective or their point of view, because I sense within myself, because of my own work, that I have value. And I carry that with me into the relationships, work, life, family, doesn't matter. And then people respond accordingly. They pick up on the energy of what it is how it is that I'm treating myself, and they echo it back. And that's why this is so important. And that's why so many, people who do advisory work, intuitives, talk about how important it is that we be with ourselves and be okay with ourselves. Because it really is an inside job. There is no outside there that can compensate for the internal kinds of feelings that I have for myself. all they're going to do is echo them back. That's all they're going to do. Every single relationship is simply going to echo back whatever kind of life condition I happen to have, and then I have to deal with it. Or not. I can keep pushing it off, I guess. But it is my responsibility. But when I do it, it feels so great. And it's just part of this great life lesson. I think so much about life is just trusting. Trusting my process, trusting the fact that it's not a destination. It's an ongoing investigation. Being excited about that and being happy about that. And then also being willing to share that and say to other people, look, this is what I discovered. How about you? What have you noticed? And in the process of that, collectively we grow as a society. And people then heal from that because they're no longer trying to exploit other people or trying to wear out other people for their, to get their love and their hit for whatever it is that they feel that they need to feel good. They're doing it from inside in a way that is so much more which works. It just completes the idea because it's built in from within, it's inviolate, and nobody can take that away. Nobody. That becomes my own thing. And even if you were to look at it from a reincarnational standpoint, I get to take that with me. I don't get to take houses with me. I don't get to take, Oscars with me. But I do get to take what it is that I've addressed and how it is that I've learned to love myself with me. And in doing so, offer society the greatest gift that I can give. And that is taking care of my own issues so that society doesn't get burdened with them. And being my own advocate and being responsible for my own stuff so that I can actually move forward in my life and then model the things that I say are so important to me. It's basically just living in integrity. So that concludes this part. Thank you for watching me on the Wellness Gala free series, Take Care of Yourself. That concludes part 6 of the series. Please visit wellnessgala.com for more information, and please stay well. Have a great night. Bye-bye.